Welcome back to the Beyond the Wormhole series and Kerbal space program. Today we are going to be exploring the water world Roquea in the Kcalbeloh system. This planet's kind of like that all-water planet in Interstellar, and because the planet has no solid surface, we're going to be taking a robotic submarine and a weather balloon using the Kerbaloons mod to explore this planet today. It also has like a really thick atmosphere and high gravity, so it's a really big challenge to land Kerbals, or I guess splash down Kerbals on the surface and return. Maybe we'll save that for a later mission, but for today we're taking this rocket here with that robotic submarine and a weather balloon, like I said, and we're going to do this using some far future tech parts in the interplanetary stage. Because the black hole system is so close to the black hole, the orbital speeds are really high, so the delta V required to do maneuvers that close to the black hole in the Kcalbeloh system, we're going to need some way more high-tech parts, and that's where Far Future Technologies comes in. I'm just finishing my circularization burn here with this insertion stage. Looks like we're in orbit now. I'll just go ahead and circularize one tiny last burn, and we'll pop off this fairing and you guys can check out the rocket. Like I said before, this is using the Far Future Tech part mods. This rocket is built using a X7 Asimov fission fragment afterburning engine, I think that's the name. But basically it uses a nuclear reactor and fission products and their reaction to create the energy necessary to get this engine to work. And right now I'm actually using persistent thrust, which is another mod that allows you to non-physics time warp while burning, which is really useful because this engine and a lot of really other high efficiency engines in the Far Future Tech mod they have low thrust, and so the burns take a really long time, even days. So the persistent thrust mod is really useful, and I'm using it today because it allows me to non-physics time warp way faster than the physics time warp that is allowed in the all-stock version of the game. And so I've exited the Kerbal system, and right now I'm setting up my maneuver to intercept the planet Sarnus, which is the Saturn analog of the Kerbal system, using the Outer Planets mod. Really cool because it works with the Kcalbeloh system really well. The Kcalbeloh system places a wormhole in orbit around Sarnus that connects the Kerbal system to the Kcalbeloh system that we've been using in this series to make the super far journey all the way over there in just a few moments. And so, yeah, Sarnus is just past Joule, so the transfer window is like just past 90 degrees, like 10 or 15 degrees past 90 degrees. I usually like eyeball it, but here it looks like we've got our intercept or our flyby, and I'm just going to tune that so that we can line up our periapsis with the orbital height of the wormhole, which is this lighter gray orbit that I've just focused in on here. And what we're going to be doing is just a thread the needle maneuver here right through the wormhole. You don't actually have to circularize around it or dip into it to go through. What you can do is just fly straight through on a parabolic trajectory that will appear to just shoot you out the other side of it. But what's really going to happen here is that you're going to go right through it and end up on the other side of the wormhole in the Kcalbeloh system. Yeah, and so I think the rule is you have to be below 30,000 meters to actually enter the wormhole. So that's what we're going to be doing. And it looks like we've just fast forwarded into our entry into the Sarnus system, and we're just checking out our flyby here of the wormhole. We should be pulling up on it soon, and there it is in the distance. So I'll let you guys just watch as we enter the wormhole here. It's pretty cool. Cool, we're through the wormhole and on the other side in the Kcalbeloh system. And the wormhole on this side orbits a desert planet with rings called Sarah, which you just saw in the distance there. That planet orbits the star Sunorc, which I am currently planning my escape from, this whole star system here. There's actually 3 or 4 star systems in the Kcalbeloh system that all orbit a black hole. So what I'm trying to do here is escape this particular star system in a retrograde direction, and that'll lower our periapsis on the other side of the black hole. down towards the planets that orbit really, really close there. So we're currently executing that escape burn right now. It's a pretty big burn, about 17,000 meters per second, which is probably beyond the range of any stock parts, even with the Nerve nuclear engine, which is the most efficient non-ion engine in the stock game. And this burn is taking us 13 days, and I've just fast-forwarded through the whole thing using the persistent time warp mod, which has been really useful. So I've actually dipped my periapsis a little bit lower than I've been wanting to, so I'm going to reverse a little bit and bump that periapsis up to intersect the orbit of Roquea, which I've just set as my target here. So it's like that highlighted orbit there. And what we're going to also have to do is match our inclination at one of the ascending or descending nodes as far away from the black hole as possible. So inclination changing burns are way more efficient the further you are away from the body that you're orbiting, or in other words, the slower you're going. So a burn way up here is a lot more efficient than a inclination match burn really close to the black hole. So I did as much as I could at the top of my orbit, and I'll have to do the remainder once I've kind of lowered my orbit around the black hole, which we are now really close to. Actually, this is one of the better views that we've been able to get at it in the series so far, and I've just lit up that engine once again to slow down around the black hole and circularize, or get closer to a circular orbit, and I'll just be fast forwarding through that again. Okay, now that I've slowed down quite a bit around the black hole, I'm going to have to do one or a couple more just slight inclination changes. They're going to be a lot more expensive now that they're down here by the black hole. But yeah, should be fine. This is going to be like a one-way trip since it's not manned, so we don't have to worry about fuel as much. But these missions down here to the black hole do take an insane amount of Delta V. Okay, so it looks like we've got our orbital plane, our inclination, matched up really well with Roquea's orbit here, which we've set as our target. And now we just have to make sure that our periapsis is just hitting that orbital line. That'll give us the most efficient capture burn when we do get an intercept. And so that's what I'm doing, just making sure that periapsis is right on that line. And then you can see those close encounter little nodes pop up. And I'll just be pulling on the retrograde maneuver on the maneuver planner till we get that intercept there, which we did. And I'll just fast forward to that maneuver. We'll execute that, and then on our next orbit we should have our flyby. Just waiting for those close encounter nodes to finally get that intercept. Cool, looks like we've got our flyby. Let me zoom into the planet here and we'll adjust it so that we're kind of approaching it the way we want. That's a lot better of a flyby, a lot closer to the planet. So now I'm starting to set up that capture maneuver. This is going to take an insane amount of delta V. Looks like it's around 15,000 meters per second. And the burn is going to take a lot longer than will actually be in the system itself during our flyby. So we're going to have to start our burn a lot sooner than we've even entered the system. So it's almost as if, because we're traveling at such a high relative speed, we're going to have to start our maneuver really early. And this will kind of almost make this capture around this planet like a rendezvous with an asteroid. So we'll just start our burn well in advance of us actually entering the sphere of influence. And the way I've kind of calculated that is looked at how long the burn estimate is and look at the countdown until we've reached the maneuver point. And then I'll use those two kind of like times to estimate when to start my burn so that I'll have enough time to slow down before I fly right through the system. The maneuver nodes aren't always accurate, especially if you start burning way further out than you're supposed to. So you're going to probably have to make a quick adjustment here, like replot the maneuver node and adjust again, because your trajectory is going to change in an unpredictable way. So that's what I'm doing right here. Looks like my trajectory dropped me into like a direct impact with the planet during the course of my burn, so I have to make this quick correction here. And since we have quite a bit of delta V, I'm just going to make this like a really wide flyby, which will give us maybe a little bit more time to complete our circularization capture. Anyway, we're really close to the planet. You can see it actually in the distance there. It looks like it's orbiting just outside the accretion disk of the black hole. And looks like we've got a good prediction of where our orbit is going to be. I'll just set up a final capture burn and warp till we're inside the sphere of influence. And now we've arrived at Roquea. And so right now I'm just working on finishing up that capture burn. We're still on a parabolic trajectory out of the system. And so I'll just fire that engine up and slow down so that we can circularize around the planet. I'm going to try to lower my periapsis a lot closer to the atmospheric line, so I guess where the atmosphere starts to begin. And then we'll circularize over there, and we'll be on a low Roquea orbit. And from that point, we can do our cargo separation, and we can get our robotic submarine and our air balloon hopefully down to the surface in one piece. The atmosphere is really thick on this planet. I think it's like 6 times more thick than on Kerbal. This type of exoplanet would probably be called super Earth in real life, which we actually have found quite a few of, and also some candidates that we believe do have a completely liquid ocean covering the entire planet, which is really cool. The view from low orbit around the planet and the black hole in the distance is really awesome. I was also able to get a true volumetric clouds config to work for the Kcalbeloh system, so that's what's providing our 3D clouds here on this planet. Super cool, highly recommend it. Wish I had done it sooner, but you know. Okay, now I'll just park this thing in orbit and jettison our cargo here, which is inside this fairing, with a heat shield and some monopropellant engines here that we're going to be using to lower our periapsis down into the atmosphere, which will provide us some drag to eventually hit the surface. So I'm using those monopropellant engines to do that here. I think I'm trying to get a periapsis of around 60,000 meters or something like that. Okay, I'm about to enter the atmosphere, so I got to make sure that the heat shield is pointed forward. It's going to get pretty hairy. This atmosphere is really thick, and our orbital speed is pretty high. But we should be fine. That is a huge fireball, though. Yikes. But it looks like we made it through the worst part. Let me jettison that last fairing, and you can see kind of that stack of the robotic submarine and the air balloon on top of this decoupler here. And I've opened up my parachutes so that I can start to slow my descent. And you can see this black hole in the blue sky there, and this cloud layer that we're about to enter. The clouds on this planet are pretty impressive. There must be a really intense water cycle on this planet. Okay, so the atmosphere is so thick on this planet that I have to make sure to open my air balloon here before it gets too much pressure, which I've turned on my barometer there to measure that. I have to inflate the air balloon before it gets to a certain point, or else it will pop and it won't inflate any further. So I've detached the submarine here, which has its own parachute, and now that these two are detached, that hot air balloon will rise through the atmosphere, and this thing will go all the way down to the bottom of the ocean here. Now that we're underwater, I'll turn on these engines here. I'm using these just small jet engines, and I've actually turned on infinite fuel because I guess in a perfect world it'd be a lot easier to get electric powered propellers to work as I want underwater, and I'll be able to power those with an RTG or like a small thermonuclear generator. But I wasn't able to get it to work, so I'm just turning on infinite fuel with these small jet engines here. Let's just pretend they're electric powered, you know. But yeah, let's start our descent to the bottom here. So the bottom of the ocean on this planet is really interesting. So essentially the pressure gets so great that the water freezes, like it's an ice sheet at the bottom of the ocean. And I think that's not necessarily due to the temperature, but actually the pressure of the water almost turns it into a solid or something like that. I'm not super great at physics. But at the bottom of the ocean, it's like ice, right? And so they have lowlands, which aren't actually terribly deep. And then it has cracks in the ice, which go even further deeper into the ocean. And so we're going to be exploring both of those. I'm just traveling here right now. I'm just, I was going to say flying, but I guess what I'm swimming, I guess. What do you call that? But yeah, we've just hit the bottom here. This is the lowlands. So it actually gets way deeper than this, but you can see that the bottom is made out of ice, which is really, really interesting. I'll do some science here. You guys can pause and read that if you want. But we're right next to one of these cracks in the ice, and we're gonna swim over to one of those and start going down the side of the chasm wall, which we've just found right here. And we're going to go all the way to the bottom of this little trench here. I guess like the planet is crisscrossed with these cracks in the ice that create these incredibly deep trenches. It looks like right now we're over 5,000 meters deep. And we'll have to see how far or how deep this thing goes. So right now I'm almost, swimming straight down. This is almost like like a 90-degree drop down this ice crack here. We're past 6,000 meters deep. It looks like we're near the bottom, almost 15,000 meters below the surface. And something I did not expect is that there is parallax scatters down here. It looks like we have these giant ice spikes near the bottom. And we're so deep that kind of scatterer or whatever the game is using to do the lighting in this environment are kind of glitching or malfunctioning here. So the parallax is only visible from certain angles. I guess it's like glitching just a little bit. We're just that deep that the game is breaking, I think. But this is crazy. I didn't expect this to be down here. I was like, no effing way when I saw this for the first time. But it's super cool. I don't think anyone else has discovered this yet, actually, with the Kcalbeloh system and parallax installed. Or at least nowhere I've seen anywhere on the internet. So this is kind of a really cool discovery, for me at least. Maybe someone has found these already, but yeah, I guess it looks like there's some sort of glitch with the lighting that makes everything look red, you know? But the bottom here should be ice. And so we're swimming through these giant ice crystals here, which is really cool. These things are like, gotta be like 30 or 50 meters tall. But now that we've reached the bottom of the deepest parts of the planet, we're gonna start our ascent back up to the surface, and I fast forwarded here because that took a super long time. And it looks like we've breached out of the water. But yeah, now that this kind of segment of the mission is complete, this little submarine here, we'll let him take a break. We'll turn off the engines here, and he's unfortunately just going to sink back to the bottom. But he did his part, you know, so we can all put F in the chat for this guy. And we'll switch over to the air balloon here. And we've opened up our solar panels, and we have some science instruments here. You guys can pause and read that, learn a little bit about the atmosphere of this planet. But other than that, I'll just be fast forwarding because this thing is like very slowly ascending through the clouds here. But I'll just let you guys watch because it's got some really cool views of true volumetric clouds and the planet Roquea. Yeah. I hadn't checked out Kerbaloons before this mission, but I thought, you know what, since this planet doesn't have a solid surface, what better than an air balloon would be really cool, and then a submarine would also be cool, just to like explore the whole planet as much as we can. Looks like we're popping through that cloud layer again. We should be able to see the black hole in the sky once we're through it. Yeah, and that's got to be one of the craziest sights in the system. This is the second closest planet to the black hole. There's some crazy weather activity on this planet. This footage is sped up, but you can see the clouds start to churn. And we actually got too high, and our air balloon popped, which I think it's supposed to do. That's just what most air balloons do. But we're plummeting back through the clouds, and we're going to hit the ocean really hard. This thing is going to explode. Or maybe not. The air is so thick on this planet that we're actually not falling that fast. We're only falling like 50 meters, or I don't know how fast. But looks like only our solar panels broke off there. But yeah, that's looking like it's going to be about it for this mission, guys. This thing's just going to sink to the bottom of the ocean along with the submarine. We've gotten quite a bit of exploration and data from the planet in this unmanned mission. This is that interstellar craft just that we left parked in orbit. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And on my next videos, I'll be traveling to the other planets closer to the black hole, one of which is like a super like cracked and shattered lava planet, which is awesome. And then another planet, I'll be building a surface base for the Kerbals to colonize, you know, the black hole system in the Kcalbeloh planet pack. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.